Most Filipinos are familiar with Radio Veritas, as it played an important role in the country's historical struggle for democracy. However, what many don't know is that it was unable to continue operations during the EDSA Revolution. This resulted in the birth of an alternative radio known as Radyo Bandido among the masses. Radyo Bandido played an equally important role in the Filipinos' revolt against Marcos's authoritarian rule. Hence, it is essential to know how it started and led to the 1986 EDSA People Power Revolution.
Radio Veritas was among the first non-commercial radio stations established in the late 1950s. It was the first radio station in the country to air religious programs. It was on December 10, 1958, that the idea of establishing a Catholic radio station was born after the assembly of bishops from Asia and Australia at the Central Seminary of the University of Santo Tomas. Thus, DZST, ST for Santo Tomas, was run by the University of Santo Tomas that served as an instrument of evangelization. It was in 1961, by virtue of RA 3129, that the franchise to operate the radio station was transferred to the Philippine Radio Education and Information Center, or the PREIC, which changed the call letters from DZST to DZRV for Radio Veritas. On April 11, 1969, Radio Veritas Studios opened in Fairview, Quezon City, with financial support from the German government and the German Episcopal Conference. When Ferdinand Marcos Sr. declared martial law on September 21, 1972, the first letter of instruction that sought the takeover of all media in the country closed 292 radio stations. This did not exempt Radio Veritas. In 1974, Radio Veritas was accepted as a member of the Philippine Federation of Catholic Broadcasters, a network of Catholic radio and television stations. The 1980s was a pivotal period for Radio Veritas as this saw its transition from a religious radio station to one that sparked revolt. Radio Veritas was the only radio station that conducted a long-distance telephone interview with Ninoy Aquino before his return to the Philippines. On August 21, 1983, Radio Veritas was able to cover live the assassination of the senator at the tarmac of the Manila International Airport, with its reporter annotating the events from a payphone. Radio Veritas was the only radio station that broadcasted Aquino's funeral procession to the Manila Memorial Park on September 1, 1983. The radio station's coverage on the assassination of Ninoy Aquino gained the confidence of people by reporting news and information that state-controlled media cannot.
1986 was a pivotal year for Radio Veritas, as it was a direct participant that led to the EDSA People Power Revolution on February 25, 1986. But how was it able to obtain its moniker as the Radyo Bandido? We have to go back to the press conference that happened on February 22, 1986. This was when Defense Secretary Juan Ponce Enrile and Philippine Constabulary Chief Fidel Ramos announced their breakaway from the Marcos government. Shortly after, Filipino Catholic leader Cardinal Jaime Sin went on air over Radio Veritas to rally people into EDSA to support and guard their deferral in Camp Aguinaldo and Camp Crame. Cardinal Sin's stance on the brewing revolt was representative of the Catholic Church condemning the conduct and outcome of the 1986 snap elections. This exhibited the influence of the Church as an organization over a predominantly Catholic nation.
My dear people, this is a very critical time for our country. You spoke as a people in the last election, expressing your preference for peaceful change. I ask you now to be calm and to be prepared to express again your power as a people.
It was also on the same day that the transmitters of Radio Veritas in Bulacan were destroyed by the military in efforts to stop broadcasts about the revolt. This forced Radio Veritas broadcasts to be moved to a clandestine radio station using DZRJ's facilities in Santa Mesa, Manila. Soon after the relocation, June Keithley, Known as the voice of the People Power Revolution, was broadcasting on the unfolding revolt. She informed listeners of government troop movements and appealed to military troops loyal to Marcos to join the revolution of the people. Later on, the radio station was dubbed as Radyo Bandido, given that it was a participant in the revolution. DZRB's frequency was adjusted near Radio Veritas to avoid jamming and detection by state forces and also to help listeners easily find the radio station. Information about the revolution was relayed to provincial radio stations via single sideband radios of member stations of the PFCB. Although Radyo Bandido had a grave impact on the revolution, its broadcast, however, was short lived. According to an interview conducted with Gabriel Mercado, one of the transcribers of information during Radyo Bandido's broadcasts, he stated that it only lasted for 14 hours, from the evening of February 22 until the morning of February 23.
In 1986, Radyo Bandido played a role as a disruptive element in society. As expressed by Tosh, Marxist historians hold as a fundamental premise that all societies contain both stabilizing elements and disruptive elements, and that historical change occurs when the latter bursts out of the existing social framework and through a process of struggle to achieve a new order. During the first EDSA revolution, media outlets were operated under the condition that they do not air or broadcast content subservient to the administration. As per Marcos's order, the military screened radio broadcasts for any content that may be subservient. Moreover, many of the media outlets during this time were controlled by Marcos's cronies. Hence, news from these networks were favorable to the government. During this time, Radyo Bandido served as an alternative radio. Hence, it was a disruptive element. Radyo Bandido was a direct participant in the Filipino struggle against dictatorship. The political and social atmosphere of the Philippine society was ripe for revolution. Thus, Radyo Bandido was able to disrupt the status quo by providing information contradictory to what was broadcasted by crony television and radio. Radyo Bandido was able to deliver updates and information on the revolution, and its efforts resulted in the creation of a new social order, which was the reinstatement of democratic rule. Further, Radyo Bandido also served as a social disruption that created a new balance of authority. According to Rummel, there are different elements that cause a shift in society structure, such as social disruptions and changing class situations that lead to a rebalancing of power. Radyo Bandido was able to contribute to the creation of a new balance of authority by being one of the social disruptions among many others during its period. In short, the restoration of a democratic form of government after the EDSA revolution was done with the help of Radyo Bandido as a disruptive element in a once authoritarian society.
Radio Veritas became a commercial radio station in 1991. It is operated by Radio Veritas Global Broadcasting System Incorporated, chaired by Archbishop Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle. Gabriel Mercado, a reporter of Radio Bandido, stated that Radio Veritas was particular on their position of being nonpartisan, to observe and fulfill their duties of broadcasting as a Catholic radio station in Asia. Today, Radio Veritas continues to remain a nonpartisan commercial radio station. It remains consistent with its objective to use radio as a tool for evangelization. However, being nonpartisan does not imply that Radio Veritas refuses to share any political stance. During the case of ABS-CBN's franchise rejection, Radio Veritas urged President Duterte to take action. Radio Veritas President Father Anton Pascual stated that they stand for press freedom as they have historically taken part in defending the freedom of the press in the 1986 EDSA revolution. In light of the recent elections, Pascual also called for Catholics to respect the rule of the majority. He stated that this is appreciation of the democratic ideals of the foundation of sovereign popular will and rule of law. True to their words, Radio Veritas indeed remains nonpartisan by carefully choosing which political matters to speak on. However, since it became a commercial radio, we cannot deny that there may be external factors influencing its radio operation and introducing bias to its chosen narratives. However, the times have changed. Over the decades, the characteristics of Filipinos have also changed, especially that of the youth. Recent trends have indicated a possible decline of religiosity, as church attendance in the country has steadily declined since 1991. With this, is it still safe to assume that the church still exudes the same influence over the Filipino people? Newer forms of media have also emerged, and these have definitely established their influential power in the past years. Given the changes to Radio Veritas and the Filipino society, we ask the question: does Radio Veritas still have the power to mobilize the Filipino society today?